Chapter 19. Boba Fett had already arrived at Cloud City, a luxury resort and gas refinery in orbit around the giant gas planet Bespin, and the lightspeed disabled Millennium Falcon was still en route when Darth Vader's shuttle touched down on a Cloud City landing platform. Preceded by 2 squads of Imperial stormtroopers, Vader exited the shuttle to be greeted by Cloud City's Baron Administrator Lando Calrissian and his aide Lobot, a cyborg with a computer bracket wrapped around his bald head. Calrissian was courteous and accommodating as he escorted the Imperials through his facility and listened with attention when Vader outlined his plans to apprehend a group of rebels. Upon hearing the name of the incoming Corellian freighter, Calrissian's expression remained completely neutral, which did not surprise Vader. Although a background check had confirmed that Calrissian was a former owner of the Millennium Falcon, he was also an accomplished gambler. While the Executor remained stationed well out of scanner range of Bespin, the Imperials took up position within Cloud City and waited for Han Solo's ship to arrive. They didn't have to wait long. The Millennium Falcon has landed on Platform 327, Lord Vader, said Lieutenant Shekel, a gray-uniformed Imperial officer. Shekel was listening to an incoming progress report and stood facing Vader and Fett in a Cloud City conference suite. Princess Leia is with Captain Solo and his co-pilot, Shekel continued. There's a droid, too. Baron Administrator Calrissian is leading them into Cloud City now. Shekel smiled and added, it was lucky the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive was damaged, or we wouldn't have reached the Bespin system before the rebels. Our journey to Bespin has had nothing to do with luck, Lieutenant Shekel, Vader said. Remind your men to stay out of sight. The capture of the rebels would be at my command. Yes, sir, Al. Shekel stopped short as he listened to his comlink. What? The imbeciles! Trying not to sound nervous as he returned his attention to Vader, he said, It's the droid, sir. It fell behind the group and happened upon Gamma Squad's position. They blasted it. Fortunately, the princess and the others didn't hear the shots. Then you are the only fortunate one, Vader seethed. Do not fail me again. Bring the droid here at once. Its memory might contain valuable information. After Shekel left the room, Vader turned to gaze out a window at the Cloud City skyline. He said, It seems your enterprise is bearing fruit, bounty hunter. By using Captain Solo as bait for Skywalker, you stand to collect 2 rewards instead of 1. Watching the Sith Lord's back, Boba Fett said, Skywalker would get here faster if we spread word that his allies are in danger. That won't be necessary, Vader said, sensing a trembling in the Force from far across space. He already knows. Shekel returned with a pair of stormtroopers who carried an open-top container that held the captured droid's parts. The limbs had been torn from the torso, and a tangle of multicolored wires stuck out from the droid's neck socket. Lord Vader, Shekel said, I'm afraid the damage is quite extensive. Holding the droid's head up for Vader's inspection, Shekel continued, As you can see, it's a protocol droid, probably the princess's property. Vader took the head and examined it closely. The way these parts were shattered by the blast, Shekel prattled on, it's likely the droid was made a long time ago. Despite the wear and tear to the droid's head, Vader recognized a few small details that indicated Anakin Skywalker's handiwork. He gazed into the decapitated head's blank photoreceptors. C-3PO. The last time Vader had seen the golden droid was on Mustafar. I saw you through the window of Padme's ship as it landed, Vader recalled. Holding this relic of his former life, Vader felt waves of anger and loss sweep over his dark soul. His memory flashed to the day that Anakin had found the droid skeleton in Watto's junkyard, and Anakin had wondered if the repaired droid might help him and his mother leave Tatooine. Vader wondered whether C-3PO remembered anything of Anakin Skywalker. He doubted it. If the droid had had any knowledge of Anakin in his memory banks, then he would have shared that knowledge with Luke Skywalker. But Luke remained ignorant of his father's identity. Vader felt certain of that. All things considered, Vader thought as he looked into the droid's eyes, I should have left you in that scrapyard. He had a sudden urge to crush the droid's head, but then realized that Shekel and Boba Fett were watching him curiously. Shekel said, Shall our technicians attempt to recover the unit's memory, Lord Vader? Relaxing his grip on the droid's head, Vader placed it with the other parts in the open container. The droid is useless, he said. Have it destroyed. He didn't give the droid another thought as he turned for the door and said, Come, bounty hunter, I want to discuss our upcoming meeting with the rebels. As with a tremor in the Force convinced Darth Vader that Luke Skywalker was on his way to Bespin, the Dark Lord sprung his trap. He arranged for Calrissian to escort Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Solo's Wookiee co-pilot to a banquet room where he and Boba Fett would be waiting. A moment after the banquet room's door slid open and revealed Darth Vader to the horrified rebels, Solo reached for his blaster pistol and fired at the Sith Lord. With his gloved hand, Vader deflected the fired energy bolts, then used the Force to snatch Solo's pistol, tearing it from the pilot's grips so that it flew over the central banquet table to land in Vader's outstretched fingers. I had no choice, Calrissian told them. They arrived right before you did. I'm sorry. Solo glared at Calrissian and said, I'm sorry too. Lord Vader, Lieutenant Shekel said with some excitement after the Sith Lord had exited the banquet room and ordered a stormtrooper squad to escort the prisoners to detention cells. Our search of Princess Leia's quarters has turned up something unexpected. Walking fast with Shekel in his wake, Vader made his way through the Cloud City corridors until they reached the spacious, brightly lit suite that Princess Leia had occupied before leaving for the banquet room. 2 stormtroopers stood in the room besides 2 Ugnaughts, short, porcine humanoids who worked in the city's gas refineries. On top of a table rested a storage bin that held C-3PO's dismembered parts. We meet again. Staring at the parts, which looked no different from when he'd last seen them, Vader said, I gave an order, Lieutenant. Yes, Lord Vader, Shekel said. Gesturing to the squad workers, he continued, but according to the Ugnaughts, the Wookiee broke into the junk room and went berserk when he found the parts. He brought them straight here to the princess. If the rebellion is interested in preserving this unit, there may be more to this droid than meets the eye. Reaching into the storage bin, Vader picked up the droid's head. Despite his desire to leave all of Anakin Skywalker's memories buried, another one surfaced. Something Shmi Skywalker had told her son after she had allowed him to keep the droid parts he had secretly hauled into their tiny hovel. She had said, unless you're prepared to care for something, you don't deserve to have it. Behind his helmet, Vader winced at the recollection. Watching Vader, Shekel said, shall I instruct the technicians to search its memory? When Vader didn't answer, Shekel added, or would you rather have the Ugnaughts smelt the thing? Vader seemed to continue contemplating the droid's head, holding it closer to his helmet so he could see his dark, distorted reflection on the weathered gold surface of C-3PO's lifeless face. Sir? Shekel said expectantly. Darth Vader slowly placed the droid's head with the other parts. The droid's parts carry the stench of Captain Solo's co-pilot, he said. Deliver this box to the Wookiee cell. Forgive me, sir, Shekel said, obviously confused. I don't understand. You want the prisoner to have the droid? I am giving the Wookiee what he deserves, Vader said mysteriously. Oh, Shekel said. Yes, of course, Lord Vader. Captain Solo has an appointment in the interrogation chamber, Vader said as he strode for the suite's exit. Make sure he gets there. Vader did not ask a single question of Han Solo in the interrogation chamber that the Imperials had prepared on Cloud City, but he tortured the smuggler just the same. Afterward, he had a team of Ugnaughts prepare a carbon freezing chamber for Solo to determine whether Luke Skywalker could survive the freezing process. The test was also witnessed by Boba Fett, Lando Calrissian, Lobot, Princess Leia, and Solo's hulking co-pilot, who had already managed to partially reassemble C-3PO, carrying the droid's parts in a cargo net that was slung across his furry back. With some amusement, Vader noticed that C-3PO still didn't know when to stop talking. Solo was lowered into the central pit of the freezing chamber, and there was a great blast of steam as he was instantly transformed into a solid block of carbonite. After the block After the block was removed from the pit and Calrissian verified that Solo had survived in perfect hibernation, Vader turned to Boba Fett and said, "He's all yours, bounty hunter." Then he looked to the Ugnaughts and commanded, "Reset the chamber for Skywalker." The timing could not have been better, for Skywalker had just landed his X-Wing starfighter on Cloud City.